I had been counting down the days to this vacation for months, convinced it would be the perfect chance to reignite the fading spark between my girlfriend and me. We'd been together for over 2 years, and lately, things had felt off. The little gestures that once came so easily, like her slipping her hand into mine during a walk or me surprising her with her favorite coffee, had dwindled into a routine of distracted silences and half-hearted smiles. So when I found a deal for an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean, I jumped at it. I pictured us sipping cocktails by the pool, the sun melting away the tension, and the warm nights reminding us why we'd fallen for each other in the first place. I booked the flights, the room, the whole package, all under my name, a small detail that didn't seem significant at Rev. The first 2 days were everything I'd hoped for. We swam in the turquoise water, lounged on the beach, and laughed over shared plates of fresh pineapple and grilled fish. She seemed lighter, freer, and I started to feel that old connection stirring again. By the third day, I was buzzing with optimism, ready to lean into this rekindled warmth. That morning, I'd gone back to the room to grab my sunglasses while she headed to the pool. I was whistling as I walked back, imagining her sprawled out on lounge chairs, her teasing me about my terrible sunburn. But as I rounded the corner to the pool area, the world tilted. There she was, leaning against the swim-up bar, her head thrown back in laughter, her hand resting on the arm of a pool staff member, a tan guy with a too-white smile and an easy confidence that made my stomach twist. They were close, too close, her fingers brushing his wrist, her eyes sparkling in a way I hadn't seen in months. It didn't look innocent. It looked like flirting, blatant and unrestrained. Time slowed, my chest tightened, and my feet carried me forward before my brain caught up. What the hell is this? I demanded, my voice sharper than I intended. She jolted, her eyes widening as she turned to me. But there was no guilt there, just a flash of annoyance before she plastered on a smile. Oh, hey, this is Marco. He's been telling me about the best spots on the island. Her tone was light, like I'd walked on a casual chat, not her cozying up to some guy while I was steps away. Really? I said, my gaze flicking to Marco, who had the decency to step back, mumbling something about getting back to work before slipping away. Because it didn't look like a damn travel guide from where I was standing. My pulse hammered my ears, and I could feel the heat creeping up my neck. She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. You're overreacting. It was nothing, just a conversation. You don't need to make a scene. But her words felt hollow, and the way she wouldn't meet my eyes only fueled the fire in my gut. I wanted to believe her, to chalk it up to a misunderstanding, but the image of her hand on his arm kept replaying, a loop I couldn't stop. I'm not making a scene. I shot back. I'm asking you what's going on, and you're acting like I'm the crazy one. My voice cracked, and I hated it. Hated how small I felt, how the hurt was already clawing to the anger. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Look, I'm sorry if it looked bad, okay? I didn't mean anything by it. Can we just enjoy the rest of the trip? Please. Her hand reached for mine, but I pulled back, the sting of betrayal too raw. I couldn't think straight, couldn't process her plea through the storm in my head. I need space, I muttered, turning away. Her voice followed me, sharp, then pleading. But I kept walking, my sandals slapping against the tile as I headed back to the room. The whole way, my mind churned. Was I blowing this out of proportion? Or had I just seen the truth I'd been dodging for months? By the time I got to the suite, my hands were shaking as I yanked my suitcase from the closet. I started throwing clothes in, shirts, shorts, wherever I could grab, each item landing with a dull thud. She'd followed me, bursting through the door just as I zipped the bag shut. What are you doing? She demanded, her voice pitching up. You're not seriously leaving over this? Yeah, I am, I said, hauling the bag off the bed. I paid for this trip. It's in my name. And I'm done. Her face crumpled, and for a second, I almost wavered. But then I remembered that laugh, that touch, and the wall went back up. Figure out, I added, brushing past her to the door. She grabbed my arm, tears welling in her eyes, but I shook her off. Don't, I said and walked out. Checking out was a blur, handing over the key card, nodding at the receptionist's polite questions, ignoring the ache in my chest. I caught a cab to the airport, booked the next flight home, and sat in the terminal staring at nothing, the hum of chatter around me fading into static. I felt free, unmoored, but the weight of what I just done pressed down hard. Had I overreacted? Left her stranded in a foreign country with no plan? The guilt gnawed at me, but so did the betrayal, and I couldn't untangle which was louder. When I landed back home, my phone was a war zone. Missed calls, voicemails, texts piling up. Her messages started desperate. I don't have money for a room. Where are you? Please call me. Then frantic. I can't believe you left me here. I'm stuck at the airport. What am I supposed to do? I read them, my thumb hovering over the reply button, but I didn't respond. She'd made her choices. I wasn't her safety net anymore. My friends were split when I told them. Jake thought I'd been too harsh. You could have talked it out, man. She's not evil. While Sarah, who'd seen the cracks in our relationship for months, hugged me and said, "You dodged a bullet. She's been playing you." The divide left me spinning, but the ones who knew the whole story, the late nights she'd come home vague about where she'd been, the work friends I'd never met, stood by me, and that was enough to keep me grounded. A week later, her roommate, Tara, called. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity won. "I heard what happened," she started, hesitant, "and I think you should know something." My stomach dropped as she spilled it. My ex had been seeing a co-worker for months, sneaking around behind my back. The pool guy wasn't even half of it, just the one I caught. Tara's voice was soft, apologetic, but each word hit like a brick. I didn't want to get involved, but after she said you left her stranded, I figured you deserved the truth. I thanked her, hung up and sat there, numb. Every doubt I'd had about leaving evaporated, replaced by a sick relief that I'd gotten out. But the hits kept coming. A few days later, my boss pulled me aside at work, his brow furrowed. "HR got a complaint about you. Some pretty wild stuff. Said it came from your ex." I stared at him, disbelief morphing into rage as he explained. She'd called, claiming I'd been volatile, aggressive, even threatening during our breakup. Lies, all of it, spun to hit me where it hurt. I didn't waste time. I dug up screenshots of her texts, the voicemails begging me to come back. Proof her story didn't add up. A lawyer friend helped me draft a cease and desist letter, formal, cold, and clear. Stop the defamation, or I'd sue. Sending it felt like reclaiming a piece of myself, a line in the sand she couldn't cross. A month later, her apology came, a long email. No excuses this time. She owned it. The flirting, the cheating, the lies. "I messed up," she wrote. "I'll leave you alone now. I'm sorry." I read it twice, waiting for the relief to hit, but all I felt was tired. The hurt didn't vanish with her words. It lingered, a bruise I'd carry for a while. Looking back, I see it clear as day. That trip didn't break us. It just showed me what was already broken. The trust was gone long before I saw her at that pool, and I'd been too hopeful or too scared to admit it. Walking away wasn't just about her betrayal. It was about me finally choosing myself. I'm still piecing things together, learning to trust my gut again. But I know one thing for sure. I'm better off with people who don't make me question my worth. And that's a start.